What is up, everyone? You are tuned into 105.3, the Deej FM.
Nah, I'm just joking with y'all. Deej is here, and I got a nice replay commentary for y'all of a match I had between myself and the FANG a couple weeks ago on this map right here. A little controversial map, might I add. Witchcraft Trials. So, why is this map controversial? Well, one of the reasons why is front switching is incredibly difficult, if not impossible, on this map. Once you commit a unit to a certain side, all these pipe seams in the middle, let's just say all these pipe seams make front switching to the other side a pipe dream. You're basically, once you commit, you're not going to be able to switch to the other side. So that kind of completely invalidates the strong side, weak side argument, where you can just flood everything to one side, win that, and then flood to the other side. For that reason, you might want to have a little bit more of an equal army composition. Not completely equal, but you want to have still a strong side, but maybe a little weaker than usual, and buff up your weak side a little bit more. So at first glance at this map, the strong side and the weak side might not be completely apparent. However, for the top player over here as green, the strong side would be on the left, and the weak side would be on the right. The reason is because this mountain over here sort of interferes with the middle's reinforcement of the side, also this forest. But the main reason why is because the opponent can easily gain control over this pipe seam in this pipe seam opening over here. Because you can plant an artillery, say in this forest over here is green, or over here, place an infantry here or there, and basically force your opponent to go around the side over here, slowing down reinforcements significantly because of this artillery. Artillery are incredibly strong on this map, by the way. I think I built a lot of artillery on this map. If you watch Go vs. Incogarc's game, they also built a lot of artillery. Just a lot of nice force to put them in. They're great for choking off this pipe seam, or pipe area, rather. So artillery is super strong. And for that reason, if you control this little area over here, this choke point, reinforcement can be really slow on your weak side. So that's what I would typically go by. Strong side is green over here, and weak side is over here. So technically, if you look at it, it's two base versus base in an airport, technically. But it doesn't look like that at first glance. But that's technically how it should work out. Another thing about this map that's controversial is the vision. It is a partial vision map, meaning that your infantry can reveal some of your opponent's troop movements and their troop creations. So by moving your infantry, you can get vision on two properties or two bases in an airport on a certain single turn. So what I like to do is, general rule of thumb, your infantry should be moving every single turn. From mountain to mountain, allowing you to go start off here, you see the airport, and here you see the base. So you see two production buildings worth of stuff. I like to go on the weak side to see what my opponent's doing, see if they're building any aircraft or building something from the base. Maybe it's a tank, maybe it's an infantry, whatever. And just sticking to the weak side. You can go over here and look at the strong side, or the middle and the weak sides as well, or you can even venture over here to the strong side of your opponent if you want to. But it's a bit of a trek. And I tend to see, like, I just like anti-air, so I like to know when I should build anti-air, instead of just, like, guessing and going from turn 8 to 10 or whatever. So I like just going between these two mountains. But general rule of thumb is it should not be staying firm one space every turn. It should be moving around so you gain at least two pieces of intel, and also the troop movements around. Also, this compounds if you do have an artillery here, you'll have perfect vision of what your opponent's trying to do to get through the checkpoint as well. So this is going to make it even harder for your opponent to get through this little point over here. So I like keeping it on the weak side for that reason, and forcing my opponent to go around, because you have perfect vision, you probably have artillery set up over here, and you got two bases resupplying it. So that's basically the lowdown on Witchcraft Trials. Why it's sort of controversial. These black boats are also sort of random. They don't really do anything. You can just like look at them and you get vision of an airport, and I don't even know what that one's supposed to do. But basically they don't really do that much other than give you some unit value. But that's basically all I need to know about Witchcraft Trials. So my opponent, the FANG, kind of reminds me of like the Black Fang from Fire Emblem 7, aka the only good Fire Emblem game. I'm just messing with y'all. It is the best one though. Anyway, the FANG and I were equally ranked around 1350, I believe, at the time of this game, and we both top 5, top 10 of FOG, so this is a pretty evenly matched game. The matchup itself, though, Andy vs. Drake, is a very strange matchup. It's one of those chicken matchups. Like, you don't want to use your superpower first. You want to use it second. It's kind of like Hawk vs. Hawk, Olaf vs. Drake, Andy vs. Drake. You don't want to use your hyper repair first, because then they'll just Typhoon you and you lose all your HP. And as Drake, you don't want to use your Typhoon first, because then and he'll just repair it all with his hyper upgrade or even maybe just a normal CO power. So it's kind of like, I dare to use yours first. So I kind of expected like a standoff, like who's going to go first, who's going to release their superpower first. A lot of these games, like maybe the superpower doesn't even come into play. I'd say this slightly favors Andy in this because air units overall, if no one uses any superpowers, his air units will be stronger. Although this map is pretty good for Drake because rain makes reinforcing like incredibly difficult. There's not that many roads near the beginning part of the reinforcements, so raining like is really bad for. It's basically as bad as snow if you're playing against Drake because there's so many forests and stuff over here. Not until you get over here where the roads are that you can actually move around, but here it like halves your movement. So I'd say this generally favors Andy. I was a bit happy with this matchup, to be perfectly honest. I've lost a few Drake versus Andy's. I'm usually the Drake player, so it's good to be on the other side for once. So I thought I had a slight advantage in that. I watched the Go versus Incogart game, so I felt pretty strong on that. I got a nice build, so I felt pretty good before this game started. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into that game itself. So the game starts off like most games, infantry scrambling around. Nothing too notable. Pretty identical builds. We typically want to capture the airport early so you can get a T-copter or some sort of other air support to push you around over here. So I think we both have the similar idea. Rather than go for this property over here, go for the airport. Capture that, capture the base as usual. You want to capture the base as soon as possible. No real differences here, other than the fact, no. He kept his infantry there stationary, which is a little interesting. Nothing unusual here. I talked to Go before the game, and he recommended going transports. He went T-copter on this map, and I heard from Contby that he went APC, so I decided to do both in this map. I was like, I'll get a T-copter and an APC. I want to maximize my infantry gains, then I'll go ham after that. So my first thought was, first I'll get the T-copter, then I'll build the APC. Also, my opponent misplayed a little bit by moving to the middle over here, losing vision of my airport. So he won't see that I built the T-copter early, where if he does build a T-copter, I will be able to see that. So it's a little crucial to have information on your opponent's weak side. This strong middle over here, you're just going to see another infantry build in most cases. Because if I'm building a tank or something, I'll probably build it from the strong side over here early on in the game. So think of a little bit of a micro misplay, because I do build a T-copter and he has no idea that I built a T-copter because he has no vision of it, whereas I can see what he's building from the airport. So, despite that, he didn't see that I built a T-copter, but he built his own. So he did his research. Great lines think alike, whatever. So I think it's just like the meta build for this is to build a T-copter, get some nice infantry boosts. So I used the T-copter over here to boost this infantry right here that I wouldn't have captured in a few turns. To capture this property over here, next turn I will boost this infantry over down here to capture one of these two properties. And I will put it in position so this infantry over here will be able to get into the T-copter and go over here. Or actually, my main threat was to capture this property over here because it is a 2k income swing because I capture one of my opponent's property, gaining 1k and pushing them away 1k. So it's a 2k swing advantage rather than just capturing a neutral property, which is just a net 1k swing. So that was my plan. I wanted to have a little evil plan of taking this property as early as possible, catch them off guard before you can build an artillery, which are really good on this map, and capture this before the artillery comes. It's a little bit hard to recapture because then they'll have to swing their T-copter from the weak side all the way back over to the strong side to recapture it. Then I build my APC as well. There are a few little boosts. I mean, it's not like the best APC map. There's plenty of other great maps for APCs, but I just wanted to have like the nicest capture phase possible. So continues the infantry build, I believe. Yeah, goes tank on the strong side. So the FANG is, very well aware of the strong side, weak side sort of matchup over here. But I'm taking a little more chiller. I'm just going straight for the infantry boosts and stuff first. Actually, yeah, so this infantry will be the one that gets loaded, whereas these two can capture 2 properties in 1 turn. Although, in retrospect, this one is a bit of an ambitious one because it is the opponent's property on their strong side. So going for my opponent's property that should be theirs on their strong side is a bit ballsy. And, I'm a ballsy player, so whatever. And then I push this infantry over there. In 2 turns, it will be able to capture this property, whereas this one will be boosted into the APC, or this one over here, and I can push it to farther away property. So it does have some use over there. I build an artillery before a tank because I'm scared that he will plop his own infantry on this property over here, and I want to cut off this choke point ASAP. So artillery, crucial on this map. I love artillery, so that's kind of why I like this map. Artillery actually good for once in fog. And yeah, so just the typical infantry build. See, this is what it's like without an APC. You just have a bunch of kind of little less efficient infantry just shifting around. He captures one of these properties, whereas the next turn I'll be threatening to capture a bit more. Has the T-Copter primed to do some shenanigans. And now I release my evil plan. See, I'm swifting between these two mountains. I'm just gaining airport, base, airport, base. All I care about is my opponent's weak side, because I want to match whatever they have for my strong side. If he builds a copter, I know I'll build an anti-air, which is probably not too expected since he's Drake. So I'm not really expecting that many copters, but if he does, I'm prepared. So a boost over here, bam, on the property. Then I push this over here, ready to boost another infantry, probably to over here next turn to capture that property or threaten to capture it. Position to gain this property and this property, put pressure with 2 infantry, 3 infantry rather, if he wants to actually try to gauge that, get that front property like I was on this side. Now I build a tank on my strong side. See, even if he like stayed in the middle, like he wouldn't see all my tanks and stuff. It's kind of useless. You want to either just stay on the weak side or maybe just stay on the strong side. Like hovering in the middle is kind of useless in my opinion. You want to have as much intel as possible. Using the a little feisty over here with the transport copter, similar to me. I'm a feisty over here, so we're both going for the farther away properties on the weak side. Although I'm even farther ahead because that's like capturing one of these properties, and he hasn't done that yet. He's going for his more safer properties, so I get punished for it. I lose an infantry. It's not fun. All right, Pizzle. But we're pretty even so far. He's just building a tank chain, pretty standard stuff. Now he sees that my infantry's there. Too late. Should have had the infantry over there with the vision to see that I had a T-Copter. Maybe would have been prepared. Whereas if he tries, yeah, that's not going to work at all. I am well prepared for that. So I was already feeling pretty good about this. Ahead in the game so far, in my opinion. We're both... Although I did lose an infantry. So that part's not great. And I'm being pretty feisty over here with my infantry on the weak side. In retrospect, probably shouldn't have been that feisty. And I get trapped over here. I thought I could... I don't know what I should have just gone straight back. But, I have no idea. But that T-Copter's going to die, basically. And so I move my artillery, getting so close to the sweet spot already. I see that there's a T-Copter over here. I'm prepared for some shenanigans, but that's not going to happen on my watch. You know, I built double tank, so this is kind of where it starts to show that I'm going not as much strong side, weak side, a little more even. So I split the tanks on both sides. I saw that he has a tank over here. I want to be able to match it. Use my APC again. I get a nice boost. Capture this property over here next turn. This infantry will capture this one will capture this. Just nice, beautiful infantry capping phase next turn. I'll probably gain like 5-6 properties. So the APC is worth it in my opinion, and you can continue to use it the rest of the game. Also, as a Drake player, if he does pop the superpower, APCs are even better because you can refuel your units basically on the front lines that run out of fuel. If you have a tank or an artillery that's down here, you might be near 0 fuel if Drake pops his Typhoon or Tsunami or whatever. Brings his recon over to the weak side because you don't really have as much vision as the strong side because you're pretty much set on the strong side. You don't really need to have a recon. You're pretty good as is. Tanks will do just fine. Tries to sneak this past me over here, but that's not going to work. Come on. Pretty ambitious. Almost as ambitious as me sacking my stupid T-Copter over there. So I've sacked 2 units over here, which is not pretty. But I'm doing pretty good regarding capturing this property over here. And I'm not going to let him capture any of those properties. So we're both kind of dominating on our strong sides so far. So nothing completely unusual. It's just kind of a wonky map. So I move my infantry, do the big cappening turn where I see everything and have everything planned out for all these big caps. Block his cap over there, which should be his property, so I felt pretty good about that. Getting a little more conservative on this side as I should. This property is probably not as safe as I once thought, but I do have tanks coming in. But yeah, basically it's this tale of 2 cities. I got my strong side and my weak side. I built another tank on my weak side because I saw the other tank over here with my good vision. And I want to have evenly matched. And my thought process was, as Andy, like, I don't care if I take like even trades because I'll be able to heal it up Although in retrospect he was Drake, so I can't really count on that as much as I can normally, where Andy can throw your units into the meat grinder. As long as they survive, it's worth it. But Drake, due to his superpower, you want to be a little more careful. I built another artillery because I'm feeling feisty. I want to put one here, one down here, maybe both down here eventually. Artillery is so great on this map. I love artillery. What could go wrong? Gets a shot off on this infantry over there, but I can just move over here. However, once you do put an artillery here, you will be unable to evade. They will have perfect vision, so this will die without the T-copter. And my T-copter died, so this will die. But he'll need to swing his T-copter or some sort of other transport unit over here to recapture the property. So fights back on this infantry over there, which, you know, whatever. Don't really care. His T-copter is pretty much trapped as well. Hovers over here. But yeah, I don't know how that's going to escape. So mine could have escaped, but I kind of bungled that up. I don't think his will be able to escape just because I have so many units prepared. Tanks lock down these properties over here. I might be able to sneak off this property next to my lab next turn, though. Builds an artillery on the weak side, so starts to realize the strength of artillery. Builds a recon. I don't know if I quite agree with that, but I think just because of funds, I probably would have like built another infantry and saved up for, you know, more tanks or something next turn. Also, another thing about this map is a little favoring like smaller units like tanks and artillery rather than medium tanks, because medium tanks can be choked off pretty easily with the artilleries in these forests and whatnot, and mountains and pipe seams. So they're a bit clunkier, and once you get hit by an artillery like a medium tank or a neo tank, it's just not really worth it anymore. Like a 6 HP medium tank is like, great, what are you gonna do? And it's just, I don't know. Not a huge fan of medium tanks and heavy units on this map. Maybe bombers would be pretty decent, but as Drake, I'm probably not expecting to see any bombers. So I have the Captaining. Kill this infantry over there. Bye-bye. Blast that. That never had a chance. Let's see. I do try to cap this over here. The tank does not see it, but he has a lot of units in range, so I'm a little scared. This infantry is hiding in the forest. I think my thought process was, if it doesn't move, maybe it'll survive. In retrospect, though, I probably should retreat it, because he has so many units around. Use the APC again, drop off more units to pressure this over here. Try to stop this lab capping, this property next to the lab. Also, holding onto the comm tower is a bit difficult on your weak side, by the way. So I'm kind of expecting to cap this comm tower eventually, and expecting him to cap this one over here eventually. Just seems like overpowering. And I built an anti-air because turn 8 to 11, I feel like I'm obligated to build an anti-air. I didn't see a battlecopter or anything. I think this is just muscle memory. I just like anti-air, okay? It's my favorite unit. I couldn't help myself. I'm versus Drake. It doesn't matter. It just, I had it itch. I was like, oh, gotta build an anti-air. And I built it. No reason really to do why to do it. I just did. Not gonna really defend it. This did. Anyway, moves the artillery over here where I cannot escape. The infantry is going to die no matter what. Starts capping this property over here. Spots my hidden infantry, and it is bye-bye. Luckily, I am able to capture this property over here. I think my KD right now is not looking very good. I think I was like 0 to 3, so I lost 3 units and I didn't kill anything yet. So he retreats his weakened infantry over there. And actually, no, I did get a kill over here, so it's 3 to 1. But still not great for me. Moves the artillery back the slow way, wisely seeing that I'm about to cut off this choke point right here. I still have some like wiggle room to get off from this choke point, but I still was going up here, up top, I guess, to be safe. Moves the recon over to the the strong side, which is a little, you know, whatever. Now sees the real power of the artillery. It's like an artillery war right now. It's really building up. Proliferation of artillery, basically. And I see the artillery too, moving back and forth between here. So I get a little feisty and I go for the tank hit here. My thought process right here was, hey, I'm Andy. I'll just hyper repair it. It'll probably live like a full tank hit, bring it down to like 3, and then I think this tank will bring it down to 1, but it will survive as 1 HP and I'll get it to 6. That was my thought process. But in retrospect, that was really dumb because I didn't have enough backup. I should have had like at least 2 other tanks as backup. Like this one will defend that, and there's like a tank chain, but he just has so many more units. I should have waited. I got a little too impatient. I wanted to immediately just start bashing things and stop his expansion towards my comm tower. I need to be more patient. I stopped this property, but it's in vain. Like I'm not gonna be able to stop that property. So that was earlier mistake on my part. Getting a little too feisty on my weak side. Sometimes you just need to let the properties fall and let your strong side do the talking. I should have just like built up my forces a little bit more. As you can see, the Fang over here is a little more disciplined. He knows I'm going to whoop his ass if he tries to go forward. So he wisely stays back. I hold that property over there. Bring in the artillery to this prop over here. Probably hoping to put in this force very soon. This one is still threatening. I can move it out of the way now because this is not, it's like a 3 HP infantry. I'm not really worried. Although I do let the T-Copter escape, which is a little, I don't know, maybe I was feeling kind. I built a T-Copter over here, or B-Copter rather, which you can see, so I'm fully expecting an anti-air to pop up over here in one of these two properties. But it's like, yeah, whatever, I like T-Copters, B-Copters. They're all the same to me. And so it gets down me to 2, and then the 2 and the 4, so I lose a tank there, which sucked. I thought it would live. I miscalced. It was just reckless on my part. And I just start losing a lot of units over on this side, so I'm not loving it. He's getting an infantry hit off. He's getting a little cocky. Although my reinforcement cannot reach it, which I think he sees. So, a little annoyed. Got a little too cocky. Luckily, things are going well for me on the strong side over here. I successfully stopped him from getting 2 of his properties, whereas I did capture this one. So I do have a 2 property advantage, courtesy of me capturing this over here, and me also capturing this property over here where he was not successful. So I'm ahead on the property count, although if he captures that, we'll be even. So that part's a little scary. But I am threatening to capture this property right here immediately, so I'm ahead in the capture game for now. But behind on Katie. That's usually the story for my games. I'm usually ahead on capturing. I'm better at capturing than most people. Although I can be very reckless with my units. I just like throw them into the oblivion and see what happens. That's just my style. Builds a T-Copter over here, ready to go recapture this property. It's going to be another turn though before we can use it. But I see with the black boat, I'm like, alright. Well, it was nice having that property for like 5-6 turns. Probably worth it. The 2k swing for 12k, like, now 6k of units I lost? Like, I'd probably do it again. Builds the anti-air as expected because he saw my copter on this side. Now I'm like, alright, time to smash stuff. I'm feeling pretty confident on this side. I'm like, artillery? Whatever, let's go for the comm tower. Nice backup. You're like, you're not going to stop this. You can interrupt it, but your units are going to die. Use my APC as a blocker. Also get vision. See the artillery over there. I'm ready to crush stuff. No more playing games on my strong side. Don't feel like capping this yet. I feel like there's something there anyway. So I was just like, let's go all in the offensive. Weak side, I still don't pull back. Foolishly, I still keep attacking and attacking. And I'm like, I can't. I pull a EF Calcifer. That guy like never lets properties go to his opponent, even if he completely loses from it. I kind of pulled an EF Calcifer there. I'm just like, no, my property! Like, sacking my infantry in the process. I should have just pulled back, but my ego got the best of me. Leaving this tank wide and open for the hit. Probably should have gone this forest over there. I don't know. I'm playing pretty sloppy on my weak side. I built a medium tank. Not a great idea. Just because this match, he's going to have an artillery over here. Easy to choke off. So medium tank's not great. I probably should have spent it on, like, a copter. Force him to get some anti-air. On both sides, although he would see it, so he would have an immediate reaction, but it'd be quicker for my copter to get over here and swing than it would for his anti-air to trudge all the way down there. So it still probably wouldn't have been helpful, even if he did have vision of the airport, to build a B-copter. So I should have built a B-copter there and a tank, and I think I later rectify this and I realize how bad these beefy units are on this map. Build a recon. Oh, I didn't realize I was going recon city over here. I guess I wanted more vision. I don't know. There's a lot of roads on the... in retrospect, recons are not incredibly great on this map because the vision is already pretty sweet on your offensive, so whatever. Starts heading towards the choke point just in time for my medium tank, unfortunately. Now it just starts killing all my tanks. Yeah, it's just... you hate to see it. I'm just losing my tanks. Like, I should not have thrown them away. And he's going to capture these properties anyway. Like, that was all for naught. Like, going to kill this infantry. Like, yeah, I delayed it for one single turn. Like, congratulations. I just lost a whole bunch of units. So, luckily I've had the income for such a long time that I do have a unit value advantage. However, my opponent clearly has a unit advantage, which is more important. So I'm losing in that front. However, I'm looking pretty promising on this side over here. I will cap the comm tower one turn before he caps the comm tower. I'm still holding on to this property somehow. But now I have 20 firepower advantage net, so now I'm like, alright, time to destroy things. So I see the artillery over there, I'm like, you know what? I could like slowly move over here, but I'm just gonna go for the throat. Attack that artillery over there. See the other one, attack that artillery right there. I'm going in, like, balls to the wall. Like, get out of here. Like, I'm just gonna start killing a whole bunch of units. Like, I see that I'm losing on this side, and I get in desperation mode. I'm like, okay, I need to destroy things. And it's working. So for once, my desperation mode is working. I finally realized that my tanks need to be defended, and I think this might live. I don't know. And if he does get me to my hyper upgrade, I will be able to attack. So I am feeling pretty good. I get my artillery to this lovely forest right here. That's what you dream to have your artillery in, just to block everything. Block stuff from down here. Even better, you get your artillery over there in that forest. Then you control both choke points, and it's pretty much GG. Like, you want to have these two forests under your control with artillery. So I'm feeling pretty good, even though my KD looks like shit. Not going to deny that, but my macro is looking pretty good. And I have pretty huge income advantage. As you can see, I'm ahead by 30,000 units, or 30,000 unit value. Like I said, losing the unit amount war, but winning in terms of income, in terms of unit value. So, but let's see how it goes for both of us. Finally goes over here, sees that I have a B-copter. See, the recon is kind of redundant. Like, you're not going to see anything new. Maybe, like, if I had something right here, but, like, it's pretty redundant. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of copters on this. I mean, recons. So, man, it gets this stupid little... It's going to kill that tank. But luckily, it has some counterplay. Capping this property over here. He's also going balls to the wall. Also, losing by lab capture is not really a threat on this map because it's so easy to capture your opponent's labs and just like let your opponent capture yours on your strong and weak side. So it's not really a lab threat. So I'm not really capturing this. I'm kind of like, whatever, I don't really care. Because I have this one back here that he's just never going to get. He's attacking all these units. He doesn't want to hyper upgrade, so he like scrambles to kill a single tank. But like, I'm prepared. I'm going to start massacring these little units over there. So I need some counterplay. Decided to go kill some tankies. Bring my copter in. I saw that see, he got too feisty with his anti-air. Like I said, anti-air for zoning. You can't just throw him in there like that. Now I have a bad boy B-copter, and he's going to do some work. So you better watch out. Got in perfect positioning. Now he sees the pain. The pain of having that choke point. Big beefy medium tank comes in, gets a kill. Copter comes in too. Doesn't have any anti-air in sight. Although I thought he did at this point. So I think the mind games worked because I thought he had like anti-air. I swore he had some, but he didn't. So this battlecopter is going to have a field day over there. Nothing to really stop him. I'm going ham over here. Picking off units. Slowly getting my artillery over to this beautiful forest. Pumping out stuff. Get vision. Everything over here. I'm so close to the promised land. It's looking really good for me on my strong side. So looks pretty promising at this point. And now I think I'm starting to realize like copter tank artillery is better than a medium tank and like a recon. Like it's just a better build. So ahead by 30k again, looking pretty good. And I think this turn the FANG surprised me. He actually wasn't scared of the game of chicken, just pulled the trigger, immediately wanted the rain. And I was like, I remember seeing this, I was like, really? Good deal. Like I was happy. I was like, man, alright, I get free hyper upgrade, I'm going to destroy some crap next turn. Although he does do some good work on it. He does stop this cap over here temporarily, kills my tank with it, and moves his artillery over here where I can't see it because of the rain. And the thing about the rain is, if you're Drake, you won't see for this turn, or your opponent won't either. But the turn afterward, he will see my artillery, and I won't see him till later. So it comes into play. You'll see. Moves this Neo tank up. I don't think he's still... I think he's got to build an anti-air at this point. Has a nice defense with the artillery. Like I said, this beefy medium tank, like... what is it going to do? Like... that's why like smaller units like a tank or something would be so much better, because it's kind of neutralized by all these. You have an artillery over there. It's easier to cut off. Double anti-air. So now he's like, okay, he just loves his copters. I need to stop playing around. So that hurt, you know, did a lot of unit damage, but then, what, 25k returned? The thing is, like, movement is so crap. With, like, my infantry move fine, but my vehicles, like, ugh, look at this. I can only move right there. Like, ugh, it was so frustrating. The rain is really good on this map. So I was really frustrated by that, but at the same time, I was still happy that he used it because now all my units are pretty much fully healed. I can start killing things, although I don't really get intel from this as usual. Get a nice artillery hit off over here. Gonna kill that T-copter probably. A little harder to get counterattacks than usual. I get a little feisty with my anti-air and I shouldn't have. Although he's Drake and I haven't seen any indication that he will build a battlecopter, so maybe I could be forgiven for that. But I don't know, I was just a little annoyed that it wasn't really doing anything, and I probably shouldn't have built it in the first place. But you play safe sometimes. And he is actually ahead in the capture right now. And he's going to be further ahead unless I stop that cap, which I'm aware of. So I interrupt it. My copters come in. These anti-air are way out of position. My medium tank stays... I assumed there was it in this force over here in artillery. So I didn't know where it was, but I assumed there was an artillery. So I get my medium tank out of range, basically. Until next turn, when there's no rain, have better movement, ready to blast things. I have a recon for vision. Like, I'm ready to have some nice counterattacks. At this point, I'm feeling very good. Ahead in unit value, winning on this side over here, pushing back on this side over here. He's not going to be able to hold that. The artillery is not going to be able to get a hit off on my copters. He doesn't have any anti-air to stop my copters. So I felt pretty good. Stops this cap temporarily, but it lives with 1 HP. My anti-air is dying though, unfortunately. R.A. Pizzle. Retreats everything over here. Realizes that, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to hold. He's not gonna be able to hold that, but has a threatening Mineo tank over here. Brings his infantry back over here for some reason. I thought that was a little strange. Builds more small units. Tank anti-air. My God, look how much anti-air he has. He fears the Aegis Copter, as you should. You should fear the Aegis Copter. So I continue my push on the strong side, capture this back property over here, or start to capture it rather. Kill off the last remaining infantry units. I don't even think I was in a rush to capture this property. I could have captured it easier, but I think I wasn't caring that much. Like, it has 3 to cap, but for some reason I was just like, whatever. Just feeling super confident. Captured with 1 HP infantry. I think at this point, I think I had the game in the bag. I thought I had the game in the bag, which I didn't, as you will see. But I felt pretty damn good. Killing off units over here, starting to get back into normal unit count, whereas he had to lead the entire game. Getting vision. This artillery is not going to hit anything. Starting to get close to this choke point over here, but not quite. Although this anti-air is going to kill that copter, but I do have an artillery backup. Going heavy tanks. I built a T-copter. I think I just wanted to recapture all these properties over here. I could feel the tide turning where I'm pushing back over here. Although this Neo tank is going to massacre this medium tank. This was a bad move on this part over here. If this medium tank was 1 back or this artillery was 1 forward, it'd be a completely different turn. However, because I overextended the medium tank without artillery backup, I think I could have just won this turn actually. If I got a hit off on that Neo tank and just murdered it. Just won. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And I paid the price of losing the medium tank. He knew I would repair it, so he wisely killed it off. So I was a bit upset about that. I felt like I had the game in the bag, within grasp, and just blew it. Gave off like 16k in value, basically, and he just lost a little bit of value. Captures my lab, but I don't really care. Wasn't really concerned in the slightest throughout the whole match about the labs. Blocks his airport. See, he didn't build a single copter, but I had that stupid anti-air. Just like stupid shit that I do sometimes. Just habits. Get to blast off on this anti-air at least for killing my copter, so it's not all in vain. Now I'm actually going to capture this because it has 1 HP, or 1 amount to capture. It needs to live with 1 HP, which it will. I don't see any way he would be able to stop that. So now I see this Neo tank and I'm like, oh shit, I need to start building artillery to deal with this big threat. Let's make this conga line of infantry and crap over here. Take out the beefy units over there. I was actually thinking bomber at this point, but I didn't have enough income. I needed a little bit more income to start thinking about bombers. And I realized that I have these copters doing whatever they wanted for the longest time. He's going to have a lot of anti-air. So I stopped building copters at this point on this side. I think I started building copters on this side again, maybe? because you don't want to keep like copter every single turn. You like, you know, want to shift it up a bit. I built a medium tank, so I guess I didn't learn my lesson about that. Probably should have built like arty, tank, maybe copter if I could afford it. I'm not calculating the cost right now, but should have built some smaller, more agile units. I like, it's going to take a long time for this artillery, but as you can see, I'm about to have 4 artillery on my strong side, and there's a lot of force and stuff to use. So I'm feeling pretty feisty, but I'm overextending a bit over here. I got a little too comfortable. I really wanted to get that cap and get ahead on the income. Same goes over here. That's a little feisty, but you know, whatever. We're still dead even on terms of income. Although I will be ahead after the next turn when I capture that property. Because he has not captured this property, and no way in hell he's capturing it. Wait, what? Did you get off the property? What is going on? I don't know. Anyway, build small units as you should. This is kind of a small build unit map, as I said earlier. Easily capture that property. Get some vision over here. Recons are good on your weak side because you have very little vision where your opponent has a lot. I start to also play whack-a-mole with his infantry over there. I'm like, I've had enough of this thing getting vision. I've had enough. I'm going to wait till it gets to one of these mountains and blast it to smithereens. So that was another reason why I moved my artillery forward over here rather than in the back, was because I wanted to just kill this once and for all and have win the vision war. Where I can have my vision and he doesn't have his. You know, it's worth a few turns of the artillery. I calculated at least. Shift my artillery over here to build this formidable wall where you can't really get any free hits off. Like, it's pretty scary. If I'm my opponent, and I start building an infantry wall around it to not allow any free hits. So it's pretty scary for my opponent. And I'm ahead in income. It's 23k to 21k. So I'm ahead by 2k. So I'm figuring, you know, just gotta hold my strong side. I get a little feisty over here, but I'm like, I think I was gonna move my artillery to back it up. Although it's not completely covered is the thing. Like, his Neotank can get a hit off. So that part was a little weird. I think I moved it here so I could get an infantry cap. No. I don't know why I did that. My tank should have been in range of my artillery. You think I would have learned that from my medium tank mistake, but I don't know. Build a copter over here. I don't know. No real comment on that. Maybe it wasn't the right move. But like, see, free kill. Like, stupid mistakes like that prevented me from like winning outright earlier. Gets a free hit off on this artillery as well. That was devastating. Kills the infantry, hits the artillery over there with the new vision. Maybe my artillery should have held back at this force a little longer to kill the infantry. But now it's like the counterattack is in, kills the copter over here. Everything's falling apart on my weak side again. I thought everything was going well. I was pushing back, but now my weak side's looking like crap. I'm really scared. At least I have my strong side front. I have the income advantage. I have great positioning with my artillery. I have basically a wall that he cannot it's impenetrable at the moment. But he's building up units. He's very patient, a lot more patient than I am. I probably would have thrown my shit at it, tried to kill everything at once, but a little more patient. I think he actually, no, not yet. But yeah, winning on my weak side, unfortunately. I thought the tide was turning, but you know, you live and you learn. Move all my units down. I decided to like attack this black boat because there's nothing else to attack. Start attacking random crap because I'm thinking like, hey, I don't know. I need to start killing things. I think I forgot maybe that there's 2 artillery because I need to withdraw. Oh, no. I think it's out of range. Yeah, it's out of range. So that was a smart move on my part, actually. Attacking that anti-air. Making sure this copter will live and be fine next turn. I built a Neotank of my own. Honestly, maybe just a bomber. Although this thing's scary and he would have seen it. So maybe a bomber. It wasn't as good, but I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I think I was so scared of his Neotank, I was more afraid to go artillery and stuff. I should have been more careful and built up my artillery like he did over here. And built like artillery, tanks, etc. at the end of the push rather than like infantry, Neotank, medium tank, like into the fire. Like, so I need to play more patient at this point in the game. But I'm patient as hell over here. I'm like, I'm not overextending. Like, I have the income lead. I'll hold this shit the whole game. Like, come at me, bro. But then, like, ugh, it just hurts to see my weak side just dying like this so much. And although I will be able to hyper upgrade and get a nice hit off on this Neotank, but using my hyper upgrade concedes that he will get off the Typhoon. So it's like a really hard decision to make. Like, should I hyper upgrade, get a nice Neotank hit, or should I like wait? So it's a really tough decision. And as you can see, he builds the rockets because he's like very methodical on the weak side. He's like slowly building up. He knows it takes a long time for me to go over here. I am overextended technically. Although like it's my strong side, I am overextended. He's not that far up over here. He's like over here in terms of on this side, whereas I'm down here, like knocking on the door of his base where he can easily reinforce from this much quicker than I can from my middle over here. So it's a bit scary, but I'm like, whatever, I'll hold down the fort. So I pop my hyper upgrade just so I can kill this Neotank, basically. Start blasting. And I kill this artillery too. No, I kill the anti-air because I want my copter to have free reign. I don't think it reaches the Neotank though, so I was not able to kill the Neotank. But I was able to get a nice bunch of other random hits off. Blast some infantry, get a nice hit off with this copter on this infantry. Now the copter is free reign again. There's no artillery or anti-air in the peripheral. So my copter is going to do well again. I think I should build another copter or a bomber or something just to threaten, because I know how great that air units will be at this time. I also hide this in the center, this infantry, because I see that he's trying to smoke me out as well. He's got this anti-air right, or this artillery right here, ready to plop me. I don't know what they said, plop, but to kill me. So I'm playing a little safe. Eventually you get tired of this vision, because it's really annoying giving your opponent vision of what your inner workings are. I operate better like sneakily doing things. That's how I operate, so I don't really play as well typically on these sorts of maps where it's like your opponent's given vision. Like Dark Rising L I'm not very good at because my opponent can see everything. I typically like to work under the shadows. This is how I roll. I start to retreat a little bit. I sense that there's a lot of stuff building up. I'm starting to get a little scared. And also because of the Drake superpower is also incredibly scary after I pop my own. So I am now paying the price of using my hyper upgrade to like significantly damage this Neotank and do a nice offensive push back onto Drake. So ultimately I had to pay the price of a lot of damage done. Let me see if it shows how much. Yeah, from just $30,000 worth of funds. 30,000 Advanced Wars buckaroos. So that hurt significantly. So this turn was scary. Starts picking off all my weakened units on the side over here. Even though his medium tank, or Neotank rather, is kind of neutered. My beautiful artillery is about to get blasted to death, unfortunately. And he breaks through, which is even worse. Breaks through past this tank to kill my artillery, which was doing so much work. And it's looking really grim. Actually, he goes for my medium tank over here. It's looking pretty grim on my weak side. And now my strong side, he starts going on the offensive. He's like, YOLO! Like, just goes all in, knows I have a bunch of, like, 8 HP units. Starts just, like, shoveling units in. I think he was just waiting for that moment for his rocks to be activated and for his Typhoon to be activated. So I'm a little nervous. Now I'm behind in unit value, although the majority of the match I was ahead, but behind in units. So that was scary. Now I'm just like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to like make up some ground. All right, artillery, release the artillery. I start just blasting, things. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. That's probably the noise I actually made. Start killing things. I unfortunately cannot kill that to get a hit off, although it wouldn't be very much of a hit regardless. I basically like, all right, I need to get some damage and get to my my CO power so I can recover all the units that had H damage to them. So I'm starting to get some like charge up some power is basically my hope right now. Start building artillery. See, it moves so my god, look how much it moves with the rain. So rain is so good on this map, as I said earlier. It's really frustrating to reinforce with rain up. And now he has perfect vision, whereas I had limited before. Starts blasting, just starts murdering things. Hasn't built a copter, as you can see. I had artillery though. I mean anti-air though. Still no copter the entire game for him. Starts killing off units. My medium tank is alive though, thankfully. It will be repaired. So I was like, whatever. But pulls back. See, when you're a better player, you typically want to push on one side at a time, even if you're winning on both sides. Or maybe, I don't know. Point is, you want to go on one side at one time, because he's reinforcing heavy on his weak side now. His strong side reinforcements are not so hot. He sees that I have a medium tank, a neo tank, a medium tank, and a copter, and I'm ready to push. So, on his weak side, he has a freaking rockets. This has all my artillery except for this one in its range, so that's scary. I still have the income lead though. I've had the income lead 90% of the match. I'm like I said, I'm good at capping, but like, is it really worth it sometimes if you're like losing a lot of units? So I'm like, whatever, fire, attack the medium tank. Like, we need to get these. I need to get the comm tower. I need to get this property over here. I need to have counterplay quick because I'm starting to lose my strong side. It's starting to get scary. And he's got two anti-air. I'm like, this copter is like good as dead now. But at least I'll be in artillery range is my thoughts. I was like, yeah, it's probably dead, but at least I'm in artillery range. But it's starting to look a little grim for me. Get a hit off on this tank, and I'm like, I don't know. That was pretty reckless because there's clearly a artillery there. So I think I was just getting a little desperate. I kind of sensed that I was bleeding a bit. There was blood in the water, and he might sense some weakness. So I'm like, I need to have some counterplay. So I didn't pop my power for some reason. I thought that was my original plan, but I guess I just wanted to go for a hyper upgrade for my medium tanks to get to 7 instead of 4. Oh, I know why I put it here in reckless. I was like, oh, he'll hit it down to 6 or 5, and then I'll immediately pop my hyper upgrade, and we'll be good to go. That was my thought process. The thing is, all my other shit on the strong side is dying. So, yeah, that part's not great. Now I'm really behind on unit counts, and it's see, I got my wish. I got my hyper upgrade, but like, was it worth it losing all these units over here? I should have retreated probably, but I just wanted to hold my ground to keep this property in my hands. So I got my hyper up, then I just popped my power. Like, why didn't I do it the turn before? Like, I just kind of bungled that. I was like, okay, I should have done that. And I would have probably stopped a lot of the free kills, because at 10 HP with the power with 10 plus defense, like, you're gonna do a lot better in terms of taking hits than you are at 8 without any defense. And I just resigned. I was like, well, I was so close. It was a very frustrating game because I think I don't want to say should have won, but I was knocking on the doorstep of winning with that medium tank before that medium tank misplay, because I was winning on both fronts. Or no, I was winning on my strong side very strongly. I was starting to push back on my weak side, but I kind of bungled that with a lot of stupid plays, letting him get hits on my artillery over here, killing tanks, and then not pulling back enough over here. I got a little too cocky, and yeah, and that was the game. I felt I had tons of opportunities. I had the income lead 90% of the match at least. I think my starting strategy was stronger. I had better capture lead. I got this property over here for like 6 turns plus. I had better artillery positioning, but just like, I wasn't building up enough. I was too impatient, and I kept throwing things into the meat grinder. Should have built up like he did over here, because if he kept pushing over here all this stuff in, I would have won. But since he built up, the FANG built up so much units over here, even built a rockets, it worked in the end. It took like 5 plus turns, and he wasn't doing jack. He was losing the capture war, but he was very patient. He's like, it's fine, I'm losing the capture war, whatever. I'll just build up my stuff and then push. And he waited for the perfect opportunity. He waited for me to pop my super. He used his typhoon, and then he struck at like the perfect time. So, in retrospect, yeah, I got a little too feisty. And I got a little too feisty with my big units. I should have gone smaller units, more battle copters, threatening over here, because he had no anti-air there for the longest time. I was well prepared in the anti-air battle. Didn't even have anything, copters or anything, but I still built one. But he kind of blundered by not making anti-air for the longest time on his strong side, and I was not really able to fully take advantage of it. I was able to take partial advantage, but not full advantage. Also, this stupid infantry lived the whole game, which was annoying. I mean, mine did too, but just very frustrating. I had control of this pipe scene. Almost had control to lock this down, but to be honest, like, that's overextending. You don't... I thought I could lock down this by putting in the forest over here, but in reality, you just want to stop at this front over here. That's about as far as you want to go. Threaten this property, like, maybe, but, like, stop here. I pushed down over here way too close, like, a little more than 1 turn away from, like, it's like 2 medium tank turns, and you can hit me over here. Whereas he was more positioned over here in this general vicinity. He even pulled back a few times before pushing up, pulling back, like a wave. He attacks on one side, he pulls back on the other. It's very mechanical. So I was impressed by his play. It was a good game. It was frustrating, but at the same time, like, Also, I want to mention this game was kind of live. We like went back and forth like live because it was like late one night, and I was like, I'm tired as hell, but whatever. We just got back and forth, back and forth. At the beginning, it was all planned out, T-copters, etc. But from turns like, I don't know, 11 to like 20 or something like that, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I thought I was winning, but that's what happens. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you learned some valuable lessons about this map. Hope you learned valuable lessons in general about overextending. Even I am very guilty of it sometimes. Confidence, can get in the way. You feel like you're winning, like, just finish them off. Make sure your artillery are covering your strong units, like your medium tanks, etc. Don't just throw them out into the open and let them die on their own. You want to have some sufficient backup. Your tanks as well. My tanks were not covering each other well enough. Sent one in at a time and they kept dying. So, unit overlap, artillery coverage, and overextension are the main themes of this map. And this match, rather. I hope you learned something. Hope to see you next time. Peace.